Hello. Today I'm going to interview my mom, Miss Bendu Jalaba, about her life and experiences. Where were you born?
I was born in Bakedu Village, Kwaduboni District, Lufa County, Republic of Liberia, West Africa.
How was your life in Liberia? What type of experiences did you have?
Ironically, I was born in the village. However, I was only born in the village because my parents went to visit with my great-grandparents. I grew up in Monrovia, the capital of Liberia, and went to school there until I was 11. Life in Liberia was pretty normal. Like every other kid, I went to school. I played with my friends. And pretty normal. Did my chores.
That's nice. When did you come to live to America? To live here, like not to visit?
I had to stay in America when I was 11. Originally, I hadn't come to stay. I came to visit like I always did. However, when I got here, the civil war in Liberia started, and I couldn't go back home because people were fighting. That's how I ended up staying. But I mean, I didn't intend to stay.
If I may ask, what was the Civil War about?
The Civil War is very complicated, so I really can't explain it. But what I can say is, initially the Civil War started when, people wanted to overthrow the president that was there because they felt that he was a dictator, President Samuel K. Doe. However, after the president got removed or got assassinated, the war still continued because then you had different factions or different warring fractions looking to become president or to capture the executive seat. Then you had different tribes fighting against other tribes. So the war got very, very complicated. It went from a political war to like a civil war where you have people fighting against other people because of just certain differences they had.
Oh, thanks for shedding some insight on that. When you came to America, how was it here when you first came? Because I know when you're a foreign kid and you come to America, there's often some challenges you have to face.
Well, that's anywhere. That's any kid. When you have left your family, your friends, your support system, and you come to a strange country, and then worst of all, when you come to the country based on war, you're worried, you're stressed, you don't know anyone here, and you feel stuck. Because my parents were in Liberia, my brothers and my sisters were there, so I was visiting here with my godparents. So having to be stuck in the United States, and then having to worry about my family, where they're still alive, it was really stressful. Well, when you're new anywhere, it's hard. Going to school was a little bit difficult because I was different. I was from a different country. I had an accent. So, bullying, yeah, I got bullied. But once my friends got to know me, once they saw what I was about, then, things started to change and they started to accept me. It's really hard all the time trying to gain acceptance. But when you move into a new culture, a new environment, that's something that just comes with the territory.
When you came here, where did you live?
Initially, I lived in Atlanta, Georgia. Then I moved to Trenton, New Jersey.
Did the two places have a lot of difference?
Very different. When I lived in Atlanta, it was very suburban. Trenton, New Jersey was urban and a rude awakening for me because it was something that I wasn't used to and I wasn't prepared for.
How was your school life like from middle school when you first came to high school and college?
Middle school, I love my middle school. Now, when people talk to me, they tell me that my middle school was one of the worst public schools in Trenton, New Jersey. But I loved my middle school. I had good support systems. My teachers were nice. My principal was nice. And I excelled at my middle school. I was, I want to say, the valedictorian of my ninth grade class. At that time, ninth grade was a part of the middle school system before they moved it to the high school system. When I graduated, I was nominated Who's Who amongst American high school students. Um, it was a really good experience.
Um,
Oh, I'm sorry, you said high school. High school was a bit different. By high school, I was a teenager and I was exploring a lot, so my grades in high school dropped a bit. College was good also. That's where you decide what your career choices are going to be.
mm, you said that you started. You said that you started exploring in high school. What do you mean by that? Did you start traveling and doing more stuff? Can you like elaborate on that?
Well, I guess in high school I have fully assimilated, yes, and I started to explore my surroundings. I love going to different cities. I love hanging out with my friends. And that typically should not impact your grade, but sometimes it does when you don't make the right choices. And at times I didn't. I lived in Trenton, New Jersey. It was urban, but it was very small. And I didn't appreciate it. And I wanted to see bigger things, be a part of bigger things. So I would frequently catch the train, which my high school was down the street from the train station, and go to New York City at the expense of my education.
Well, from you talking about traveling in high school, do you think you grew up to be somewhat of an avid traveler? And like, if you are, where are some of your favorite places to go and why?
I love traveling. I've always traveled. I like meeting new people. I like exploring different cultures. So yeah, traveling is my favorite thing to do, and I do travel a lot. Um, what are my favorite places? Home, Liberia, is very close to my heart. But, so it's no competition, so let's put Liberia aside. As far as other places that I visited, I love Trinidad and Tobago. I felt at home in Trinidad and Tobago only because they reminded me of Liberia, and I could always go there without having to pay the $2,000 airfare it takes to go to Liberia. Trinidad was maybe probably a quarter of the amount it took to go to Liberia, and it gave me some kind of peace. So whenever I would miss Liberia, I would go to Trinidad. After Trinidad, I love Belgium. Belgium was also close because it was a second home for me. Um, I reunited with your father in Belgium, so I lived in Belgium for a while, and I love Belgium.
That's pretty cool. Um, well, since we pretty much talked about your younger life, I did miss a topic, and I really want to ask this, but why do you think that you excelled so well in middle school and like, let's say part of your high school years before you started traveling around?
Um, because when I came to the United States, the education system here is tough, but not as competitive as the education system in Liberia. When I came to America, in middle school, it seemed a lot easier because in Liberia, I was already taking um, biology, chemistry, algebra, all in middle school. Because the way it works in Liberia is you don't have a choice. You take math for all 4 years, you take language arts, you take the sciences all the time. They don't separate it, and you could take geometry and algebra in the same year, the way it works in Liberia. But in the United States, you have a choice. You can decide you want to take algebra in the ninth grade, geometry in the 10th grade. You have a choice. Or you could decide you're only going to do 2 years of math and you're not going to do 4 years. Except if you go to a school like Masterman, then fine. But other schools don't impose that on you. Whereas in Liberia, everything is imposed. You take all of those courses. You don't have a choice. You don't select. The curriculum is set. And the resources that you have in the United States, you have exposure to computers. You have all these things to help. In Liberia, you don't have that. You don't have that exposure to computers. You don't have the TI calculators. You have to do the math manually, by hand, in your head. So when I got to America, everything seemed so much easier. So I had no choice but to excel.
I think I understand. I really understand what you mean by that. But since we got through your younger life, let's get through your older one. Like, what type of jobs have you had in your adult life / teenage life?
I've held many jobs, but what I can say is, regardless of the job that I held, anything that's about people, anything that's about uplifting people, making people feel better, I'm passionate about that. I'm passionate. I'm very socially conscientious. I like to help people. So every job that I've ever done that I felt was fulfilling were jobs that I played a role where I helped or I supported someone. So social work, human services, advocate. That's what I am, an advocate.
You said that you like to help people and you're an advocate, but what are you doing to help people right now? Do you have anything special on the side that you do outside of work that might be like a main priority right now?
Well, work is a main priority for me, but one thing that I'm advocating vehemently for obvious reasons is via my son with autism, I'm an avid advocate for autism. I spend a lot of time working with different groups, different families, and with children with developmental disabilities. So that's where my passion is right now. But in the past, I've always advocated different causes. Like I advocate for immigration, refugee, and refugee resettlement. I advocate for women issue. Right now, I'm advocating. I'm helping people with developmental disabilities, and beyond work, I also right now am working on establishing a nonprofit that tries to promote literacy.
Can you further go into detail about your nonprofit? Because that seems very interesting.
Well, the name of the nonprofit is Carinto Africa. And what we do is we try to embed or integrate literacy skills with livelihood training. Basically, what that's saying is that we just don't tell people to come and learn how to read and write. We show them what learning how to read and write would do for them. So, we tell them, if you learn how to read and write, you can have a job as a mechanic. So we teach them how to read and write by using mechanical training. So by the time you get out of our program, not only do you know how to read and write, but then you're a mechanic also. I feel that if you're going to ask someone to give up their jobs, give up, how they support their families to come and sit like this is like an older person, like 40-year-old, to come and sit in a classroom, you need to show him what reading and writing is doing for him. You need to show him the benefit of reading and writing. And the illiteracy rate is very, very high. So that's my passion right now. I'm working to reduce the level of illiteracy in Liberia and in immigrant communities in America, in Philadelphia.
Before we end this interview, do you have anything else to say that you want to say?
All I'm going to say is that America is a great country. It has so many opportunities. And most of the time, young people in America don't understand the amount of opportunities that are made available to them. So, please take advantage of the opportunities that this great country has to offer you. Do the best that you can. Do not take it for granted. You know what? And I encourage you to be a global citizen. Go somewhere else if you have the opportunity. Visit somewhere else. And then you appreciate what America has to offer. Thank you.
Thank you for the interview, Ms. Bintu Jalaba. Have a good day, people.